Hi everybody, Ryan Ballengee from Golf Newsnet here. So we're starting to dig into some of the 2017 equipment and put into play here in the fall of 2016 before we get into the new year and before some of these pieces of equipment hit the marketplace. And we've gotten a number of pieces of equipment from Cleveland and Srixon Golf, and we've been really impressed with a number of them. So we wanted to share some aspects of those in some reviews for you. And we're a little bit reluctant when we do reviews to tell people whether you should buy a piece of equipment or you shouldn't buy a piece of equipment. That decision's ultimately up to you, and there are a lot of factors that determine whether or not a piece of equipment works for you in your game. So we'll leave that up to you, but we'll leave you some impressions of what we have experienced with this equipment, and hopefully that'll help you make a better, more informed buying decision as you go into your pro shops or you go online to look at what might be in your bag for next year. So we start with a driver, and when you think Srixon, at least in this country, you probably don't think a lot about their golf equipment. You think about their golf balls, the Q and Z Star lines, which are very successful and do very well in this country, but you probably don't think about their drivers or their long irons or their irons or any other equipment that they make. And that's a shame because they make some really good stuff. And I think that Srixon, with this new line that they're coming out with for this year, around the 65 line, so there's Z765, Z565, but the 65 line has been tremendously impressive in our testing and the rounds that we've played with not only the drivers, but also the irons, the utility iron, and some other stuff that you'll be seeing in other future reviews from us. But in this review, we want to cover the Srixon Z765 driver. So we've played a number of rounds with it, as we've mentioned, and coming into the review, I have to be honest, I wasn't really expecting all that much from a Srixon driver, because typically speaking, when I think about Srixon and overseas XZO, the upscale line for players with slower swing speeds, I think about drivers that are maybe too light and too flexible for someone like me who swings anywhere from 105 to 115 miles per hour with the driver. And so coming into this, I asked for a stock X shaft, thinking that with the X, I would be more likely to put the proper amount of bend on the shaft and be able to move the ball fairly well. And it turns out I was actually right. The Srixon Z765 driver has been a wonderful surprise to me. And there are a couple of features that are worth pointing out here, and you'll see it over the course of seeing me hit shots with this. But the Z765 driver has a new sole, and that sole is dubbed to have what's called ripple effect, so that the whole sole is somewhat flexible, allowing the entire sole, instead of just one piece of it with a channel, to be able to work in concert with the face, a new cup face that is a little bit deeper onto the body of the club. And so that increases the coefficient of restitution, which, for lack of a better explanation, is the amount of energy that gets transferred from the club head to the golf ball at impact. And there's a limit placed on that by the USGA, and a lot of equipment manufacturers are getting closer to that limit. And this club, the Z765 driver, which is a 445cc head, so a little bit smaller than your typical 460cc that you're seeing, although we're seeing more drivers going down to that 440, 445 range, this driver moves. And I mean, it moves really far with a great, somewhat piercing, not too high trajectory that is consistent from shot to shot. And this is coming from somebody who used to be a very high ball hitter with the driver and has come down significantly in recent years. But I'm very happy hitting this driver, never feeling like I can't move it higher if I need to, but I'm able to keep it at a consistent trajectory that I like, that pierces through the air at a medium-high height and still rolls out pretty strong. It doesn't offer as low a spin, I don't think, as the Cobra King LTD, which has kind of become my gold standard, personally speaking, in the kind of driver spin that I want. I've also seen some very good results with that with the TaylorMade M1 driver, and we've seen it in some instances with some of the Callaway lines, especially their higher end Big Bertha line. So this is right up there with that. And what I really enjoy about this club is that it feels lightweight, but it isn't lightweight. It's very comparable to the weight that you'll experience with other drivers in the marketplace. So it's almost a little bit of a mind bend where you feel like you're swinging something lighter, but you're not. And at 45 inches in length, it isn't too long, it isn't short, and it doesn't feel like it's overwhelmingly long. But the results are extremely positive, and it's certainly worth looking at the Srixon Z765 driver if you're looking to make a driver purchase. It comes in a variety of different options, 9.5, 10.5 degrees. You've got a variety of shaft options available to you. You can check those out online at Srixon Golf's website. Like $450 for the driver. It is competitive. There are drivers now in the marketplace that are in that $500 range, even a $550 range. And of course, you've got lower options, lower priced options in that $350 to $400 range. The $300 driver is more or less dead these days. So this kind of comes right in the middle of the modern marketplace, and it is an attractive option for players looking for something a little bit different that they want to throw in the bag. There aren't a ton of options here in the way of adjustability. You don't have a lot of different things to switch up in the sole plate. You can't really mess with a lot of different options. I mean, you get the standard adjustability, upright, standard, different degrees of loft adjustment. So those are all positive things, and those are enough to get you dialed in, but maybe not obsessively so for a player that thinks a little bit too much about those kinds of things, in my view. So overall, a very strong review and recommendation for the Srixon Z765 driver. So please give it a shot, and if you do, let us know what you think, either on Twitter at GolfNewsNet or in the comments of our video. We'll see you next time.